Welcome back to the deep dive. This is where we take a whole stack of sources, pull them apart, and really try to find those hidden gems, giving you that shortcut to, well, being properly informed.
Hmm.
Today, we're looking at a really fascinating collection, actually. It's insights from Jagdeep's video notes.
Right.
And it's this rich mix of, real-life examples, some quite profound thoughts on financial growth, but also personal development, too.
Yeah, it's that blend, isn't it?
It is. And, for lots of us, the weekend's just about switching off, isn't it? But for Jagdeep, and maybe others on his path, it's more like dedicated time for reflection, for planning.
And that's really our mission for this deep dive, isn't it?
Yeah.
To properly unpack Jagdeep's experiences, almost like with, well, surgical precision.
Ah,
We
yeah.
want to pull out those really crucial bits of knowledge, how our mindset, our money habits, how resilient we are when things go wrong, how all that stuff isn't just linked, it's sort of woven together. It is our overall growth. And we'll get into some practical strategies, things you can actually do, and maybe some deeper lessons that have really shaped his journey.
Absolutely. And I think what makes these notes so interesting is that dual focus you mentioned. Yes, okay, investing money, understanding that, it's obviously crucial. We all know that.
Sure.
But just as vital, maybe even more so, is investing in yourself. So yeah, think of this deep dive as like a direct path to understanding some really powerful ideas for long-term stability, building proper wealth, and really pushing forward your own personal growth, all seen through the eyes of someone who's actually lived it.
Lived it and learned from it.
Exactly. Okay, so let's get into it. The first big theme that really jumps out from Jagdeep's notes is, well, the huge impact, and maybe we underestimate this sometimes, of our social circles, the people around us, and our mindset too.
Right. The company you keep.
Yeah. He shares this really quite striking comment from a friend who's also a coach, apparently. And this friend just told him pretty directly, we can't keep hanging around with people who aren't growing people who only talk negatively.
Oof. Direct.
It is direct. And it really makes you stop and think, doesn't it, about your own environment? Who are you spending your time with day to day?
It absolutely does make you think. And Jagdeep's take on, having a positive outlook, it isn't just think happy thoughts. It's more active than that. He talks about being on a deliberate negativity diet.
A negativity diet. How does that work?
Well, he consciously limits how much news he takes in, how much social media stuff. That just makes you feel despairing.
Yeah.
He gets that the world has problems, obviously, but he understands that just focusing on the bad stuff all the time can sort of overwhelm you, paralyze you almost.
Right. You just feel powerless.
Exactly. So instead, he actually dedicates time each day to looking for solutions, or he connects with people who are actively trying to build positive change. It's like an active redirection of his energy.
Interesting.
A conscious choice, really,
Sure.
to seek out the good, focus on it.
Yeah.
And he finds that actually leads to more positive things happening in his own life.
And he takes this idea of boundaries quite far, doesn't he? Even with his own family, which I think for many of us, that sounds, well, challenging.
Yeah, that's often the hardest part.
He gives this example talking with his mom. He's very clear. He says he values chats about investing, about property, how money works, much more than what he calls gossip, talking about what neighbors are doing or whatever.
Right.
Because, and this is his phrase, that doesn't help me grow. It's such a clear line in the sand. But setting that boundary, even with good intentions, it can feel really awkward, can't it? Maybe even cause friction. Does he suggest ways to sort of handle that gently?
He does, yeah. He advises a kind of gentle but firm redirection. So rather than just shutting someone down, which can feel harsh,
Yeah.
he might say something like, oh, that's interesting, Mom, but actually I've been thinking about this new investment idea. What do you reckon about X?
Okay. So you shift the topic.
Exactly. Shift it towards something growth-focused. And this links directly to something else Jagdeep observes quite often. People who complain a lot about money, they tend to hang around with other people who do the same.
Right. Misery loves company sort of thing.
Kind of, but it can create this echo chamber where maybe there's resentment towards wealthy people or mocking success. It just reinforces that feeling of scarcity.
Yeah, I can see that.
And what often gets missed, Jagdeep points out, is that the people who seem to have it all, well, they've usually worked incredibly hard to get there. You don't see the full story, do you? All the effort, the setbacks, the sacrifices, it's often hidden.
That's a really powerful point about the hidden work. But, we live in this age of instant everything. How does he suggest people cultivate that long-term view, that resilience, when maybe the rewards aren't obvious straight away? All you see online is the glossy finish.
Well, it seems to come down to being relentlessly proactive about learning, about connecting. Jagdeep isn't just, watching successful people from afar. He's actively talking to them,
Right.
getting involved.
Yeah, he mentions things like ringing up his entrepreneur friends and just asking, so what's your secret sauce? What are you actually doing?
Just asking.
Just asking. Or he'll message people on Instagram who inspire him. He's even offered to pay people for mentoring just because he's got this huge curiosity to learn what they're doing differently.
Wow. Yeah.
It's about actively building that network of positive influences, isn't it? And not being afraid to ask for help or knowledge. He sees every conversation as a chance to learn something, to speed up his own growth.
That drive, that curation of his environment, it's not just philosophy, is it? It feeds directly into how he approaches his finances, building that security. So let's get into that, how he builds those foundations. Because it's not just about having money, it's understanding it. And he challenges something really common straight off the bat: emergency funds. Now, most people, I think, myself included probably, think an emergency fund is just, cash sitting in a bank account.
Yeah.
Safe, yeah, but kind of idle, doing nothing. Yeah, the mattress money approach. But Jagdeep's view is, well, it's much more nuanced than that. It's rooted in making your money work smarter for you.
Okay.
He explains that an emergency fund can actually take different forms. Forms that are more, well, dynamic. He gives a really practical example. Say you have an urgent expense pop up.
Right. Boiler breaks down or something.
Exactly. You could cover it immediately with a credit card. Now, crucially, you do this knowing you could quickly liquidate an investment, sell some stocks or bonds, cash in part of a fund within a few days to clear that credit card debt completely.
Ah, I see. So the fund isn't cash, it's accessible assets.
Precisely. The main thing isn't having physical notes under the floorboards. It's making sure your money is working for you, not just sitting idle. And crucially, knowing how to get your hands on it quickly and efficiently when you actually need it.
That takes a different level of understanding, though, doesn't it? Financial literacy, knowing what's liquid.
It absolutely does. It requires genuine financial education, knowing your assets, knowing how quickly you can turn them into cash if needed.
That's a complete shift for many people, I reckon. I know I've definitely had that cash in the bank safety net idea for emergencies. It feels almost freeing, actually, to think your emergency money could still be working hard. And speaking of financial knowledge, he's a massive advocate for multiple income streams as, the bedrock of real stability. We hear that a lot, don't we? But maybe don't always act on it.
Absolutely. And this isn't a new idea for Jagdeep. He's apparently held this belief for over 20 years, constantly tweaking and strengthening his own streams. He really stresses that relying on just one income source is inherently risky.
Yeah, you only need one thing to go wrong then.
Exactly. A lesson many people learn the hard way, during recessions or if they face redundancy. He details the different strategies he uses himself: active businesses, property investments, getting dividends from stocks, holding equity stakes in other companies.
So quite diverse.
Very diverse. But the really crucial point he makes is that these things don't just magically appear. You have to actively build them, cultivate them over time. It often takes consistent effort, maybe some calculated risks.
Right. It's not passive initially.
Not at all. Only then do they start providing that long-term stability and resilience that you need in, well, let's face it, in an unpredictable world.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? It makes you, the listener, maybe pause and consider your own financial education. And are your income streams really diversified? Are they robust? Or are you maybe putting all your eggs in that one work basket? Which leads us perfectly into Jagdeep's whole philosophy on teaching this stuff.
Yeah.
Because it underpins everything.
Yeah, his approach is quite unique.
That deep dive into how Jagdeep handles his money, diversifies, it really brings us to what he calls the unfiltered path to success. And this, I think, gets right to the heart of his teaching philosophy, which is summed up in this phrase: I only teach from lived experience. And there's just huge value in that, isn't there? That grounding in actual successes, but also, importantly, actual failures. It gives his lessons this real authenticity. He's not just talking theory, he's sharing what really worked, or maybe what really didn't.
It absolutely does. And a key insight from his notes is how he applies this. With specific, concrete examples. He says, look, if I'm showing you how to make 100,000 pounds, it's because I've personally done that.
Right. He's walked the walk.
Exactly. If he's guiding you towards, say, a £1 million goal, it's because he's been on that path himself. And he's very clear that each level, starting with maybe just a 10-pound investment idea, then scaling to 1,000, 10,000, whatever, each step requires a different mindset and skill set.
That's interesting. It's not just more of the same.
No. Getting that first tenner in profit might just take a bit of courage to start, but turning $1,000 into 10 grand, that needs you to understand risk, how to allocate resources efficiently. Different game.
And he didn't start rich or anything.
No. He mentions a middle-class background, parents working regular 9-to-5 jobs. But he also shares this snippet about his mom having a bit of an entrepreneurial spark. She saw the chance to buy their council flat back in the early 90s.
Ah, right to buy. Yeah.
And that kind of thinking, seeing that opportunity, clearly made an impression on him early on.
Okay, right. Now, this next bit of Jagdeep's story, this really hammers home that lived experience idea. He talks about his first proper property investment, and he just calls it, quite bluntly, a disaster.
Yeah.
And honestly, when you hear the details, you really understand why he uses that word.
The specifics are, quite shocking, actually, and a
Yeah.
massive warning sign, really. He bought this place up in Whitehaven in Cumbria for £80,000, and he got a 100% mortgage.
Okay, high leverage from the start.
Very high risk.
Right.
And then, well, the catastrophe happened. The builder he hired, who was actually a close friend, which makes it worse, apparently just disappeared with his money.
Uh-huh.
And not only that, stripped out valuable things from the property, like fittings, sold them off, and ended up causing over £100,000 worth of damage.
100 grand on an ATK property.
Yep. So Jagdeep was left paying this mortgage on a place that was basically uninhabitable. He'd lost his investment and a friendship. I mean, that's the kind of thing that would make most people just give up, completely shaken.
Crikey, I can't even imagine. And did it get worse?
It didn't stop there, no. He desperately tried to sell the place. Just before the 2008 crash hit, he actually got a buyer.
Oh, lucky break.
Well, then the global financial crisis kicked in properly, and the buyer understandably pulled out. The next offer he eventually had to accept was for £110,000, which sounds okay, maybe.
Yeah.
But after all the damage, the costs, it still left him with, wait for it, £50,000 of negative equity.
50,000 pounds underwater.
50,000. And the bank, as he puts it pretty grimly, they didn't forget about that debt. 6 months later, they were chasing him for the full amount. Pushing him right to the edge is just, a devastating chain of events. Could easily have finished his whole investment career right there.
Gosh, what a nightmare.
But, and this is the crucial part, this massive failure, it became this huge turning point for him. It didn't stop him investing again. That's key. But it totally changed how he invested.
Right. Lessons learned the hard way.
The hardest way, probably. It taught him this absolutely vital lesson.
Yeah.
If you want to be a landlord, you have to learn how property really works properly.
No shortcuts, no just trusting a mate.
Exactly. It meant he had to take responsibility. He started talking to experienced landlords, properly understanding the risks of potential returns, doing the homework. And that deep dive into it eventually led him away from traditional buy-to-let. He pivoted to the Airbnb model, which he found suited the lifestyle he wanted much better.
Okay. So that failure directly led to a new, better path for him.
Directly. And now, he's not just doing well with Airbnb here in the UK, he's even looking at international Airbnb investments, which just shows incredible resilience, doesn't it, and adaptation.
It really does.
And this whole experience led him to pose this quite challenging question to people, maybe to you listening. What are you scared of? Travel, explore, find your tribe, because maybe they're not here in the UK.
That's provocative.
It's an invitation, isn't it? To push past your comfort zone, redefine what you think is possible for yourself.
That is a powerful challenge. And it links so neatly to his whole idea of continuous improvement, doesn't it? Even after massive setbacks. Which brings us to our next really key point, broadening out from just money to investing in yourself.
Yeah, which he sees as just as important, if not more so.
So for Jagdeep, investing in yourself isn't just, reading a book now and then. How does he define it?
He sees it as this ongoing process. Continuous self-education, yes, but also actively developing your mindset, pushing for personal growth all the time. He talks about having a learning stack.
A learning stack.
Yeah, like regularly consuming specific books, podcasts, courses that are directly relevant to whatever challenges he's facing in his business right now. And then, this is key, immediately putting something he's learned into practice, usually within 72 hours.
Wow, that's quick application.
It is. He gave an example. He went to this 4-hour workshop, part of the government's Help to Grow program, actually. It was on using AI in business,
Yeah.
held at Kingston University Business School.
Okay. Topical.
Very. But he didn't just go along to listen. He went with a specific goal: find AI tools that could help automate some of his property management tasks. He already had a pilot project in mind before he even walked through the door.
So very targeted learning.
Exactly. And he really highlights the importance of using these new tools, like AI, not being scared of them. He sees it as vital for staying relevant, for innovating.
He really does walk the talk on this stuff, doesn't he? It's clear from the notes he's not just telling other people to do it, he's living it. He actually mentions the vast amount of money he's personally invested in his own education over the past decade. And it's not just about gathering facts, is it? It's about growing, applying it directly to his own life, his own business, constantly refining things.
And another really interesting aspect is his admiration for other creators he finds inspiring. He mentions one in Canada, another in East London. And what he admires specifically is that they show up every single day.
Consistency.
Discipline.
Exactly. That regular, consistent, disciplined effort. It's something he really values and tries to model himself. He shares this quote from one of them that clearly resonated. It's hard work to show up daily, but if you have a clear vision, you'll get there. Keep going.
That really hits home, doesn't it? The sheer grit needed. It's not just about having a good idea.
No, it's about the sustained commitment, way beyond that initial burst of excitement.
And for anyone listening who maybe feels a bit overwhelmed by the journey, wanting to track their own progress, he highlights something really simple but quite powerful, doesn't he? Journaling. Yeah, specifically journaling for annual reflection. His suggestion is basically, at year end, when you read back, you'll see how far you've come. Even one step forward makes a huge difference.
That's such a great, tangible idea. Encouraging, just to see that compound effect of small, consistent steps over time.
It absolutely is. And this continuous self-investment, in all these ways, curating your circle, finding mentors, educating yourself constantly, keeping that growth mindset, it really is the foundation for everything else, all the other growth, financial or personal.
It's like building the strong internal scaffolding first.
Precisely. A robust internal framework that supports you when you aim for external success and helps you bounce back when, inevitably, challenges come along.
So as we kind of wrap up this deep dive, we've really dug into some quite profound stuff from Jagdeep's notes, haven't we?
We really have.
We've seen how vital our environment and mindset are in shaping our outlook. The strategic importance of, proper financial literacy, building those diverse income streams, and those invaluable, sometimes really painful lessons you only learn through lived experience, through resilience when things go wrong.
Indeed. What comes through so clearly from his journey is that real growth. It isn't just reaching a goal, is it? It's a relentless process, continuous learning, constant adaptation.
Yeah.
And it's all driven by this unwavering commitment to invest in your finances, yes, but just as importantly, maybe more importantly, in yourself. That encouragement to actively seek out knowledge, find positive influences, even see setbacks as learning opportunities. It's a really powerful call to action, I think, for everyone listening.
Absolutely. So as you go about your week, maybe thinking about your own growth, your own journey, we want to leave you with a final thought, something to mull over. If you were mapping out your own path of advancement right now, what would your very first 10-pound investment look like today? That small, maybe slightly scary, but courageous first step. Yeah.
And perhaps
Yeah.
what disaster, big or small, might actually turn out to be your greatest teacher yet.
Something to think about. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.